Okay, we are back. So by now, hopefully you've put in the practice to become more comfortable with the double stroke. Again, kind of trust the process. You aren't going to be super fast with double strokes in a week or in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks. It takes a lot of time. And I think a lot of drummers give up and get really frustrated because they want to be really good at drums really fast, and that's unrealistic. Think about how long Zach's been playing. You know, and of course you're going to find exceptions out there of people who are younger than you, who are way better, who are more gifted, you know, whether that's they just have the intellectual capacity that you and I don't have, whatever. Don't be too hard on yourself, okay? Because as soon as you stop practicing and stop trying, that's the part where, you know, you fall off and you lose. Keep playing. Okay, so in my opinion, now that you have figured out those double strokes a bit more, we need to start placing them at the end and beginning of phrases. Now, of course, you can put them in the middle, but I think it's important to get comfortable with knowing what a double stroke feels like leading into some moves with your hands and coming out of some moves with your hands. So something that you can start to practice, right, is double stroke into 2 hits. And you can move your hands, you know, wherever you want. And that's something that Zach does a lot of, because what feels like with the snare 2 and 2, right, will now become 1 on the snare and 3 as a fill. Okay, so putting those at the beginning of a phrase or coming off of a phrase, right? Which can feel a bit different because instead of launching into it, you're actually pulling out. Okay. Right? So getting used to putting those at the, like I said, beginning and end of phrases, that's what's nice about doubles. You and I, we know it's always going to be 2 strokes. So the math can be pretty easy to add up there if you're counting, you know, regardless of what time you're playing in. Something else we need to think about, Zach plays with people who, you know, depending on what music you're listening to that Zach's on, they aren't playing in 4/4. Like if you're listening to Hella or The Ladies or anything like that, typically 4/4, it's not avoided, but it's not utilized too often. So get comfortable enough playing in 4/4, because there's plenty of examples of Zach playing in 4/4. Check out his stuff with Marnie Stern if you haven't. Look up the stuff with Waves Live, because obviously Nathan writes all of his songs basically in 4/4 because it's pretty simple. And start viewing that stuff and seeing those fills that he incorporates in 4/4. Because if you try to jump to what Zach and Spencer are doing in Hella, you're going to frustrate yourself. Again, hours and hours and hours of practice, them playing together, so it seems like one cohesive part, and they put in the work. Another thing I'll say, okay, Zach has complete limb independence, right? And you can find plenty of examples of this. Just watch, you know, if you haven't seen Concentration Face, the documentary, I really recommend that. Just observe how Zach can move all 4 of his limbs independently, okay? That is where we want to get. And I'm not perfect, obviously. I'm not quite there, but once you figure out kind of, I'd say the hands come first, these being separate, then that foot can start to work in. But what Zach's really good at is also incorporating opening and closing the hi-hat a lot and doing a lot of crossovers, which make a lot of his stuff really complex and interesting to listen to. So start working that stuff in. Like I said, a lot of crossovers, a lot of foot work with the left and right foot. And then you're getting closer to what you may think sounds Zach Hill-esque. Again, we're trying to play kind of like Zach Hill. You aren't going to play like him. You aren't going to play exactly like him. So I'll throw a couple like little crossover parts here at you that maybe will help you think of some stuff to play. But really, I would just sit down at the kit and start hacking away. So hopefully that gives you a little more insight, a bit more insight. Until next time.